I'm not quite having it. It's like he's clipped it on. There's always a demon link.
He keeps rubbing.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. Lovely tough tops. Yeah.
Lovely tough.
Okay, ready? Yeah. Northampton are going to spank them, right? But that's actually, you know, I can't say spank them, can I?
No, you can't, but you
Can on the lowdown.
Hello and welcome to Gallagher Premiership Rugby's The Lowdown. I'm Flats, he's Topsy. Hi, Topsy.
Hey, Flats, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks, mate. It's you I'm worried about. Topsy had a lovely weekend down in Gloucester, and in the old days, I'd have made a joke and I'd have said, hey, you got out of there alive then. But actually, it's quite a nice place to go now, King's Home, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when you stop playing as well, you know.
Much more when you stop playing, yeah.
Not the boos, the heckles, you're in your warm-up trying to catch high balls. You can just feel the presence of the shed right there beside you. Go, yeah. You caught one, well done, a little round of applause. But they were in good spirits. Good way for them to finish. Of course, didn't get into the playoffs, but yeah, a nice experience. I enjoyed my weekend. How about you?
My weekend was lovely, thank you. Look, a rule that I wish you'd learnt as a player: you don't get abused for dropping the ball if you don't go anywhere near it and no one throws it to you. Okay,
Just run in the opposite direction.
Easy peasy. Hardly ever dropped it. Just don't go anywhere near me. No, I used to run up shouting no as a dummy, and I'm sure defenders heard me. My favourite King's Home memory, since you asked, is not as a player, as an injured player. I went down with a couple when I played at Saracens, drove a couple of lads down for a night out in Gloucester or Cheltenham if we weren't really posh after the game with some of the Gloucester lads we knew, and I couldn't find anywhere to park. So I remember some kid saying, you can park in here, mate. And this is a 10-year-old kid. He said, park in here, mate, you can park in here. And I got out of the car and he said, that's £20. That's £20 to watch the car. So I'm not giving you £20, you little rat bag. He said, if you don't give me £20, when you get back, you'll wish you had. Wow. And that was it. So wow. I remember thinking, well, I will pay this child. I will pay this threatening, aggressive child.
Here's 50, keep the change.
I think he was a relative of Andy Hazel. Must have been. It might actually have been Andy Hazel. I don't know, he's quite short at that age. Anyway, we're going to get into some stuff later on. Make sure you watch to the end. We've got a couple of subjects to talk in a bit more depth about, but here's what's coming up on the show. Exeter Chiefs hosted Harlequins. It was Gloucester Saracens at King's Home. Tigers against Wasps, bit of a derby. Northampton, Newcastle at the Gardens. Sale Sharks against Bristol Bears, and Worcester Warriors hosted Bath at Six Ways, with all the London Irish boys, of course, watching it on telly from Dubai. So, of course, with all the games kicking off at 3 o'clock on Saturday, there was no first game, but we have a first game, naturally, and that is Northampton against Newcastle at Franklin's Gardens. Now, Topsy, in terms of mathematical permutations, Northampton just had to win, didn't they, to get into the semis? That's it. Am I right?
That was it. Nice and simple. After last weekend, it was very simple for Northampton. Win and they're in. They knew what the prize was. They knew what they needed to do. Just got to go out and deliver.
Keep it simple. Let's have a go.
Nansen, bigger. Again, another one of those exquisite crossfield kicks. Skosen is going to give it to Ludlam. His 100th game, the captain, goes on his own. Finishes the perfect afternoon. Perfectly for Northampton. The Saints magnificently took control and they freewheeled away in the end. And it will be Northampton who extend their season by at least 1 week, maybe 2.
It definitely doesn't get any easier, but look, we'll come in Monday, we'll take it day by day, but we're looking forward to the challenge, and to be back in playoff rugby has been great. We haven't been back there for a while, so to be back, yeah, it's good.
Today was about putting our best foot forward, and I don't think we did that. I think we had a spell where for 15 minutes I thought we played brilliantly. Unfortunately, we weren't able to carry that on for a little bit longer, and we gave them a 20-point start, and they're a pretty good team.
Don't want to be pedantic, just do want to correct Dave Walder on something for his good and for the greater good. Topsy, he talked about them putting their best foot forward.
Yeah.
You can't put your best foot forward as a human being because you've only got 2 feet, a good foot and a better foot, or a foot and a better foot. So your best foot, you've got to have at least 3. So you can put your best foot forward if you're, for example, a horse, but then it would be a hoof, not a foot.
There you go, Dave.
Or a bear, then it would be a paw. You know where I'm going. So just
about, yeah.
Something to think about, Dave. Dave Walder did call Northampton a pretty good team. Would you go along with that?
Bit of an understatement, yeah.
Yep.
Pretty good team, 65 points. You can't argue with that. Saints knew what they needed to do, and they got it done. What they needed was confidence early on, get a good early score, build, get the crowd behind them. They did that absolutely, scoring some absolutely fantastic tries. Again, I know we're judging for try of the season at the minute. A couple of contenders in there were huge, and they can look forward to a huge semi-final. We know they're going to be away now, but whoever they play against, if they're in that kind of form, scoring those kind of tries with confidence, with physicality as well, forwards and backs combining, they're going to be a handful.
They are going to be a handful. They'll need defending, that's for sure. And they're trying. Lewis Ludlam's trying his 100th game for Northampton Saints. Dan Bigger, 2 crossfield kicks in a couple of phases. Just he absolutely had the game on strings. He was fantastic. But a few months ago, when they lost a sort of run of games, didn't they, Saints in a row, and they really in poor form. You felt like they've got a lot of attacking promise, a lot of creativity, a lot of speed, but they need a bit of grunt work first to actually lay the platform for that and provide threat elsewhere. And they got some big lumps doing big damage now, haven't they? That pack has really come into its own.
Yeah, definitely. The team has gelled massively, and that forward power has really come to fruition. You mentioned Laws, you mentioned Ludlam, Augustus as well in there, Coles is in there. The pack is now delivering. It's giving them front foot ball, and it's allowing these creative backs who we've talked about all season long, your Biggers, your Mitchells, your Hutchinsons, your Freemans, to really just come to the fore and show all their skill and talent. So credit to Chris Boyd and the coaching team as well, because they're going through transition as well. Chris Boyd is leaving, but what a wonderful way for him to sign off, and for Tom Wood as well, the king of Northampton. You know, legend, absolute legend. You know, he's going to be carving some wood for us in the coming weeks.
He's going to do a chopping board for my outdoor kitchen, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to that as well.
Got to keep a roof over his head, haven't we? Rugby family and all that. But you're right, Matavesi, outstanding. Hutchinson, Freeman, outstanding. Dingwall, again, while he was on, outstanding. Now, as a Newcastle fan, if you were a Newcastle fan, how would you kind of sum up the season for them?
It's a tough one. It's a bit meh, isn't it? I think if that was a word to use. I mean, they know that they're battling. You know, they know that they're not spending what the other teams are spending. They haven't got a full array of superstars. They're punching as hard as they can. In and around it, they have got something to work with, and I think that's the exciting thing. Dave Warder has got some pieces in there. He's got some players in Radwan. He's got McGuigan, guys that will deliver. Chick as well, incredible. Robinson. So these guys you can build around, and you can build something in Newcastle that the fans can get excited about. It's going to be tough, no doubt about that, but there is something to work with going ahead to next season.
It has been a cracking derby match. Portfleet holding it up there for Hanro Liebenberg. There's Portfleet again. They're going to go the other way. Ford, Maroney! And he releases Stewart, and Stewart goes into the corner. Leicester have beaten Wasps by 20 points to 10.
So we now know that one of the semi-finals is going to be an East Midlands derby, Leicester against Northampton at Welford Road. Fantastic, can't wait, going there myself for a pork bat. But Topsy, you watch Leicester in that game and you watch Northampton down the road at Franklin's Gardens against Newcastle. You know they're in a semi-final together. There is only one winner. Northampton are going to win by a stretch because they score so many more points. Their attacking game's so beautiful, except that ain't how semi-finals work, is it?
No, definitely not, especially when you factor in the East Midlands derby and you think the 2 results in the season, Leicester put 90 points on Saints in the season. So this is going to be a humdinger. It's going to be a huge battle. I think the contrast in styles is going to come into play massively because Northampton, a bit more of an all-court game, Leicester, set piece, kicking, defence, and then they light up. So which one triumphs? That's going to be so good to watch and to see. I mean, I think Leicester just did what they needed to do in this game. I think, you know, without overstretching themselves, they kept Wasps at arm's length, did what they needed to do with all eyes now firmly focused on next weekend. It's going to be huge.
Ludlow and the setup through Reed, tight at the front, low at the back, driving forwards and onwards, and Singleton against his former club now has 2 for the day. Gloucester have 4 and they bank their try bonus point.
It is disappointing, and you know, it's hard not to reflect on moments through the season, you know, and they're very clear in my mind right back to the beginning of the season. You know, you're probably talking 1 try and we're in the playoffs, so but that's the way it goes. You know, we've got a long way to go and a lot to improve on, and that's probably the exciting bit for us.
Stuart Hogg, little bit of space, and he creates some more with a wonderful sidestep. He's got support inside, gives the pass. Sam Maunder with the try. That should seal it for the Chiefs.
Look, it was probably what the crowd needed. It's probably what we needed a little bit to come out of one of those battles. We've consistently probably got on the wrong side of those battles this season, but to turn one into a win was pleasing. Like to have done it a little bit easier, but we sort of kept giving them chances and giving them the ball, and they're incredibly dangerous sides as we saw. But you know, one for the spectators, one for the neutrals. I guess you know it'd be an amazing game to watch.
Okay, so a bit of a review preview for this week's take. I know it wasn't Saracens' first team, but we're going to look at where Gloucester had success and where Harlequins might profit in the semi-final coming up. So, breakdown. They hammered Saracens in the breakdown, winning collisions, getting them to deck, and then moving the ball into the space. So we see here, one quick wide pass and Gloucester away. And now they've got Saracens' defence really disorganised, backpedaling, trying to get into shape. Again, same example. Later in the second half, Gloucester win that battle at the breakdown. And then you can see here, all these players, they're not going to stand still. They're going to light up, they're going to flood the channels with numbers, and they're going to support, they're going to offload, they're going to pass, and really get all these Saracens defenders who are now tired, who are now a bit exposed. That's a lovely kick by Geordie Reid, by the way. Playing into space, that transition from defence into attack, that could prove dividends for Harlequins. We see this example here. Harlequins, as we know, love moving the ball into these wide channels. They get the ball into Don Brandt's hands. He links up with Marchin. That's another brilliant offload as well. This is Harlequins at their best. This is what they do. So thinking ahead, we know they're going to have to win a lot of tackles, a lot of collisions. But if they can do that, and if they can win the battle of the breakdown as well, they're going to profit hugely from their transition and their counter-attacking game.
Nice stuff, like that, Topsy, really nice. My favourite bit of your analysis is the bit you missed, which was Tyrone Green running it in, giving it the big shush to all the Chiefs fans. He hasn't played for months. I love it, giving it the big one. It must be so annoying. I love that stuff. Really nice stuff. When you talk about anyone playing against Quins, it's a clash of styles because their attack is just relentless. Unless, I guess, Northampton Quins play at some point. That'd be a good final, wouldn't it, in attacking terms? But is this semi-final between Saracens and Quins, is it about Quins containing Sarri's power, or it's about Sarri's containing Quins' attacking relentlessness?
I'd say it's both. I think from a Saracens perspective, we know what their game plan is. You know, the kick chase, the defence, but they're actually absolutely ruthless when it comes to attack. So they scored the most tries off low possession. So they'll get the ball into the right areas of the pitch, they'll attack, they'll score, and they'll do it again and again. And the big thing for them, as we've seen with Quins, is doing it for 100 to 120 plus minutes, because we know Harlequins love a comeback. For Harlequins, it's can their attack overcome against this defensive wall that's going to come? They're going to have to field a lot of kicks. They're going to have to play from deep areas in the pitch in their own half, but actually say, as they've done all season long, this is our game, this is our mantra, and we are going to win. Okay, our way is going to overcome your way. So kick us the ball, we'll receive it, and we'll attack, and we'll score from anywhere. So there is a clash of styles. I think, like I say, that containment piece of whose style is going to win over the other is going to be huge. Either way, we're in for a treat. It's going to be great. We are, yeah. And it feels like the set piece is going to be quite important as well. People talk a lot about Quins' attack, like we are. Set piece, hugely, hugely important. It's going to be great fun to watch. Whichever style dominates, whoever can impose their style of game, you'd imagine will win that semi-final. Just a quick word on Gloucester and Exeter, the two victorious teams this weekend. Ultimately, victories achieved in vain. But geez, the home fans had some good afternoons out there, didn't they? Two brilliant sides to watch this weekend. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I was there at King's Own. King's Own was bouncing afterwards. Of course, disappointment, I think, to just miss out on that playoff spot. And I think this morning, waking up, they'll say, you know, there was an opportunity. Probably last weekend at Twickenham against Quins, where they had that lead and gave it away. That was probably where they lost out. But in terms of progress, from 18 months, 2 years ago, where they couldn't buy a win, at home as well, especially, to be where they are now with a maul that is killing all the other teams. Yeah, impressive. Brutal maul. Brutal. Yeah. Brutal, indefensible at times, with some tries as well, some skill set coming to the fore as well. So they're starting to get the balance right. So they will be in a good place to kick on next season. Chiefs, it'll be a reset. Of course, we know they've not been at the races this season. They've been inconsistent, probably their own worst enemies at times. But again, no need to panic. Just understand, you know, who they are, where they want to get to, and come back again stronger next season. Lovely stuff, Tops. Like that a lot.
Sheedy opts for a different tactic. It's comfortable for Aaron Reid though, and off he goes. It opens up for Reid. It opens right up for Reid. That is individual brilliance.
Tries good, Adam. Look, you've got to lean into your strengths, your superpowers. And I don't think during the course of the season we've utilised the power of our pack as well as we did today. So it's going to be along similar lines, but like everything, you've got to keep evolving, got to keep progressing to the tune of 0.2% a week, 10% a year apparently, so the economists say, just to stay where you're at. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep building, keep growing, and we've got a young side, as you know, 11 lads, academy lads on the field with that game finished today. They're the future.
So Tops, Bath hammered at 6 ways. It just rolls off the tongue. It's easy to say there's no relegation. They've checked out. People are saying it all over the place. My question to you is is it acceptable to check out at the end of a season when you're a professional athlete? There was some lovely stuff. That's lovely from Orlando Bailey. Will
very
Muir
nice.
has had a really good season despite Bath really struggling. There have been good bits, but is it okay to concede this many points to a bottom of the league team on the last day of the season just because there's no relegation?
It's absolutely not. And like you say, yes, there was no relegation, but pride was massively at stake, you know, not wanting to finish bottom of the league. So there was a job to be done in this last game. And, you know, for Worcester, who were bottom, you know, they were thinking, right, ahead of next season, we want something positive. They've got the Premiership Rugby Cup in the bag. They want a big win at home in their last game against some local rivals, and they got that. And for Bath, a huge job coming up next season because, you know, we look at this game and actually in the first half they were flying, you know, scoring some really lovely tries. They're 3 tries to 1 up at half time, and then going into the second half it just all falls to pieces. I mean, that is lovely executed by Worcester, really manipulating that Bath midfield and moving the ball into space. But then this shouldn't be happening so easily to some international players in that back line as well. So that's something that they're going to need to work on next season. And if you look at the example of Leicester and Gloucester, who have had to reset and come back again this season, the big thing they've done is work on those no talent things. So work rate, physicality, getting off the floor, kick chase. Get that in place, get the principle of what you want your team to stand for, and then you could add all the glitz and the glamour, you know, the set piece execution, the launch plays, the backline plays. That comes next. I mean, again, this is Worcester playing some lovely stuff, and Steve Dime will be saying the same to his boys. You know, we need to be tough to beat, we need to be hard, we need to be gritty, and then we've got these wonderful young players coming through. We've got Duan van der Merwe on the wing as well, we get Ollie Lawrence fit as well, we get Ted Hill firing and fit, and we can do some really good things.
So, Tops, if you're Johan van Graan coming into Bath next season of head of rugby, you're basically starting with the boring bits, is that right?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's about right. Right, let's see what the 2 respective head coaches had to say about that.
You get what you deserve, and we got what we deserve today, and we've got what we've deserved this season. So we can look at 101 of things that, you know, if this had been that or we'd had players available, we've had enough not to finish where we are. So, yeah, just gutted, devastated, really.
There's more important this than the cup final to a lot of the lads and to me. To get off the bottom, no, there's no relegation, but just the pride factor. You know, dead rubber games, there are going to be some of them with no relegation, but today wasn't one of them.
Right, that's the end of round 26, regular season done. Let's have a look at the table as it finished. So top 4 sorted: Tigers, Saracens, Quins, Saints. Gloucester Rugby missing out by the finest of margins on playoff qualification. London Irish sneaking into that final Champions Cup qualification spot because Wasps couldn't win at Leicester. And Bath Rugby officially bottom of the league.
Which means that coming up next week, we've got 2 huge derby games for the semi-finals. First up, it's Saracens against Harlequins, 1:30 at the StoneX Stadium, followed by at 4:30 at Mattioli Woods, Welford Road. It's Leicester Tigers against Northampton Saints in the East Midlands derby, all playing for a place at the final. Saturday, June 18th, 3 o'clock at Twickenham Stadium. It's live on ITV.
Right, that's it. You're all up to date. You know what's happening in the semi-finals. Now, as for predictions, it's a mugs game. Only fools make predictions, so I don't go in for all that. But Topsy, who do you think's going to win?
Really? You're going to do that?
Really?
Okay.
On telly.
On telly, I'm going to go for Quins and Leicester. What about you?
Can't believe you just said that. Can't believe you just said that. I told you, mugs game. No. Sorry to the other teams taking part. No. Topsy doesn't mind who wins. He's neutral. Right, it's time for your Grassroots Beaut now. It's old Elizabethans, topically, because it's platty jubes, and they're playing against Clifton.
Old Elizabethans, led out by skipper George Burney at Fortress Hallen for one final time this season, and a game dedicated to the memory of club member Tom Elstob, who died recently. Alex Potts holding the number 22 shirt. Matty Carr to Will Tobin, Bootstrap Bill, the toughest man to tackle in Bristol. Will Wappleton and his snazzy blue scrum cap to Carr again, to Luke Jagger, top try scorer this season and moving like, linking with his mate Pat Dorr, aka the Thumb, and Dorr will score. Bedlam.
Right, Tops, I want to talk to you about what team do you think's been the biggest disappointment this season, to start on a negative, and then to get us back up to neutral with a positive. Who do you think has been the most improved team? Who's the surprise package almost?
Yeah, I like what you've done there. Disappointment, obviously, I think it's going to be Bath. You look at everything they have, the stadium, the support base, the training ground as well, Farley, the playing squad as well, even the coaching group. You'd think they had something there to go on and at least compete this season, and it's really fallen flat, and it's been a shame. It's been disappointing. But as we saw Neil Hatley saying in one of his interviews, you get what you deserve, and they've deserved to finish bottom this season. What they want to do is look at the success stories, Gloucester and Saints. And then, of course, Leicester as well. I mean, Leicester, again, another club that were...
Complete rebuild.
Complete rebuild, bottom to top.
And I think what you got is Steve Borthwick, who came in and actually really focused on fundamentals. So organisation and sort of repeatedly doing the boring things really, really well. It's all built on that, isn't it? And actually, that's how Saracens originally built built what would now be a legacy of just many, many victories in lots of different competitions. It all started with boring Sarries, kick chase, defence, swarming defence and all that stuff. But they've got a pre-season that is about that long. So there's hardly anything in it. So there ain't a lot of rest for the lads. They have got to create identity from somewhere because they haven't got any at all.
You've got to look at the squad and think, right, what are we going to have? What players have we got? That might be the direction Bath have to go in, depending on what Van Graham has to work with when he gets there and goes, right, this is my squad. These are our strengths. Maybe we play more to our strengths, and then in time, over the next first year, second year, I'll add those bits in to what I want to create. But
and players in.
And players in as well. But this isn't his squad. So he has to inherit what he's got and say, right, what is our super strength? What can I work with? And then go from there.
So next thing I want to talk to you about is playoffs.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Do you think that the team that scores the most points through the regular season should be crowned Gallagher Premiership champions, or do you buy in fully to the semi-final, playoff and final thing?
I'm all playoffs. I really am.
That's because you never finished top, mate.
No, but we finished fourth. I think we finished fourth, went away to Quins, won, and then went to the final. So we benefited from that process. I watch a lot of sports. I look at all the sports around the globe, and I think barring Premier League football, most sports have a playoff system. Yes, there's a commercial entity to it, but in terms of excitement, in terms of giving us a couple of big games to crown a winner, where everybody comes and it is a grand occasion, you pack a stadium full of people, you create an atmosphere, you create a spectacle, and you say, world, watch what is happening. For this 80-minute period, get all eyes of the world on this one game, and I think you only get that with a playoff system.
Yeah, but Topsy, the Premier League don't do it. And the Premier League's going all right in terms of eyeballs, in terms of attention.
Very true.
The run-in for the Premier League title was hardly dull. And anyway, you haven't finished top and then lost in the final, so you don't know what it's like.
Very true. But and when you say that, not many clubs have recently as well.
Yeah.
Harlequins last year turned the corner at Christmas, got in there, won it.
And Leicester are top, but Sarries are still bookies' favourites, I'm told. I mean, there's an argument both ways, but I think he's probably right. Anyway, that's it for the Lowdown. There's another one next week, of course, after the semi-finals. See you then. Ta-ra. It's ta-ra from us. We'll be there. See you next time.